Salute.
Salute.
2023. We are back, the Inner Workings podcast, in a bit of a new location today. The weather is good, so
Took it outdoors.
we took it outdoors, so here we are. We haven't spoken to you guys in a while. Our last one was in August when we had Ajali from Melbourne here, and that was awesome.
That was an insightful one.
Yeah, it was great to have our first
Interstate,
or just out of WA guest, and we hope to do that a lot more this year. But yeah, just starting off, Ash and I wanted to, we love just doing this, so we wanted to come in and just kind of have a chat about what we've been up to really in the last year, because even with the Ajali one, it's always very focused on the guests, as it should be. But we've had a big one. We've basically
accomplished a lot.
Yeah, we've learnt a lot, which has been awesome, and we've still been navigating in a space which is not that easy at the moment. I think from what I do and also from what you do in the events side, it's both at the moment are still it's still very difficult. It's a very saturated and still a kind of uneasy market. Is probably
Very touch and go.
Absolutely. But, we've launched ALLBREED agency, which is a label and sort of artist development agency that we have, and Ash is a huge part of that. You guys have done a number of events this year with Honeycuts. You brought over, was it one international or a couple of?
We did, with Honeycut, it was just J-Rob, and
That's
we
right.
did the Australasia tour.
Yep.
And that was in October. That went really well. I guess we added a new market in Brisbane, made a lot of networking and connects out there.
Not easy.
Not easy, but it was good because, I at least got to meet them during our trip at BIGSOUND. So, it was great.
Oh, BIGSOUND.
Yeah,
wow.
there's so much that's happened.
Okay.
We could, it all intertwines is what I've seen.
Very much so.
But we had that. We had a bunch of gigs with JCAL with our first collaboration event between some of the brands that I'm a part of. And that was a crazy way to end the year. And I think that's probably a format we're going to replicate.
Yeah, I actually wanted to dive into that. So obviously Honeycut is kind of the overarching brand.
185 is like the umbrella brand.
Right.
And then each of the brands are their own brands.
So what sort of benefits do you get out of doing that collaboration? Like, what does something like that look like, essentially?
So for us, we've done this for a while, so we understand December is a tough month to try run an event solo.
Absolutely.
And we wanted to throw two events, one for each brand, but we realized with the space and how the calendar was this year, it'd be tough to pull it off and throw two brands to the level that we'd want to throw it at. So we decided let's collab, and the Wildflower Boys were on board. We used, the two areas of the venue, the rooftop and the main stage or main hall, and kind of did like a collab where we had Wildflower on the roof and then more Hive Sounds in the middle, and kind of tried to blend the two cultures together, and I think it worked really well. I guess it's just mixing our worlds, trying to see what we can do and how we can push things and work with the same tools, but see what other outcomes can come out of.
Yeah, do you feel like it's reciprocated? Like, do you guys get feedback of like, oh, that's really cool because it's a mix of sounds, or is it not really something that's spoken about? It's more just you guys know what's happening and it's more felt.
It's a bit of both. I think being in Perth, it's tough to be a tastemaker in that side of things because people want, like we've discussed so many times, what's easy to consume, what's the same. So there is a huge community that appreciates and does give feedback, and we take that on and try to use it with future gigs. But at the same time, you kind of just have to take a leap of faith and do what you want to do and not really let the market dictate.
Love that. Need more of that energy this year, absolutely, especially from the event space of things. From my perspective, and it's somebody that's not in, putting on events, but, when I look at the big ones, it seems like it's much of the same, It's good to have you guys really taking risks and building actual communities. So I really do hope. I know that's been hard, in a way. Sort of. I thought it would be easier during the pandemic for those things to kind of frolic, but actually it was harder because the risk was larger. So sort of understand that. But now that things are sort of back on, it would be good to see, a lot
But
more.
I feel like on the music side, we followed a similar ethos subconsciously. Like, we stopped really trying to cater to, I guess, the industry or what is expected.
Yeah.
And we decided, let's put out great quality music that we stand by. And just made, I guess, smarter decisions. What do you reckon? What are your thoughts on that?
Totally. I think it was like a lot of just consistency, but good quality consistency, not just like I'm going to drop a song a month, but your rollout's bad and the songs aren't great. It does take a lot of organization and a lot of hard work to actually pull off, a high volume release year, like for instance Marley's had. It takes a lot of coordination, a lot of team effort, and it takes a lot of people in the team. It takes a lot of, doing things ourselves in a way, even down to like, okay, we can pay this graphic designer or, videographer to do this for us for X amount. But it's like, if you keep throwing away $200-$300 or even more than that every time, it's like, talk about sustainability, it's like, it's not, you're recouping that sort of money. Even recouping $300 on a release when it comes to, as a upcoming developing artist, like recouping $300 from your masters, like your streaming is difficult to
hard.
do.
It's hard as hell.
It's hard. Like, you could get 100, over 100,000 streams to do that from streaming alone. Obviously, there's other things. Obviously there's some sync opportunities and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not one source of revenue, and obviously you play shows with that, and you have those sort of those mechanical royalties from the shows and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think we've realized that like no one's coming to save us. I feel like I thought that for a long time. Like, we build enough presence and like, I'm getting stuck here. And then, someone from a label is going to come and they're going to give us $50K marketing budget. Maybe if we were doing pop music, but doing alternative hip hop, no one's coming to save us, and everybody at the industry at the moment is going to be like, yeah, you guys are doing crazy. But that's about it. And I mean, we love that props, but like, no one's going to do the work but 100%. Us. And, we've really got a good team with ALLBREED at the moment of people who are hungry, and the artists are doing stuff themselves, obviously, like between you, Ches, who's in OTR, like we have a lot of coordination, but Marley is like running the front on his own creative direction. And like, I probably fought him a few times on just taking a press shot and putting a parental advisory sticker over it, but like he absolutely like he killed it with that, because we didn't spend like heaps of money every time getting artwork, and it looked cohesive, and he had a vision. And that was a wrong, because when we did the interventions cover, I thought, oh look, this is a big Mick Jenkins feature, like maybe we could do something else. But Alex, my girlfriend, took all the press shots. She was happy to just do that because it's part of her like developing her photography. So that's kind of the reality is that you need to do. It's not always about obviously asking people to do things for free, but it's like, if you want to actually have higher volume releases, there's no way you can be spending $800 to $1,000 per release, because you're just not going to recoup it. Like, and look, this isn't a personal attack on anybody or anything like that, but I see like guys, and I don't think it's their fault, because I think it's the stigma on rap music particularly, but it's like I see them renting like these exotic cars for videos.
Damn.
You're not making that back.
That's
like,
true.
I just, it just baffles me like that sort of stuff goes out the window, but that's, that's what expected and that's the vibe. But
it's also part of branding.
Yeah.
It works both ways, but it just depends whether or not maybe they've got a bag to be able to spend that. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
and don't get me wrong. I know it's like it's not. This game isn't all about making a return on stuff or expecting that, but it's just. Yeah, I don't know. Just sometimes what I've realized a lot this year, what we've all realized a lot this year, is, and going even taking that a step further this year, is like being very careful with what you know, we
put
are
out.
spending money on. You know, and also we're very fortunate in the fact that we have you can't expect anyone to just believe in you and want to put that time in without, you know, getting paid for every second. You know, it's not like we do that for any artist. It's because they're our artists and everyone believes in it. But that's kind of, if you have that capability, that's kind of where you need to be looking. Otherwise, I don't understand how you do a high volume of releases otherwise, unless you're dropping the quality or, you know, not getting your stuff mixed, which, you know, you can do, but, you know, we obviously have a standard of where we want to push things, and that's got to be. But yeah, and it was good this year. Obviously, we got to do a bit of traveling. I mean, I rushed off over to Sydney as soon as the borders basically opened. For a month, which was good. The Marley came over in April and we did some sessions. Shout out to like the One Dayers guys, like giving up the studio for us. We wrote Clouds and we wrote Sunseeker in that little Mez room. So shout out to Naz and Nick for, you know, facilitating us. I really appreciate that. I had Dante Nose in my studio. I had Sticky Fingers in my studio. I've had a bunch of other over east. So, you know, that's what I really wanted to see. Is what I really missed as well. Having that interstate
cross-pollination.
Kind of. Yeah, I really missed that. And then obviously BIGSOUND, which was
massive,
huge
bro.
for us. Just because, I mean, we didn't go there with any really like massive objectives. Like, we're not really that interested in a label unless they're really gonna elevate us and you know, help us fund some stuff. We have a booking agent, and, you know, management is sorted, so that none of that is kind of. But for us, a big thing was just connecting with other artists.
It's the networking,
and that was the most important thing for us. And, you know, shout out Flyboy Jack, and shout out Dion Brownfield, who's Baker Boy's manager, and all the operatives, and like those guys really showed us a lot of love, and we really kind of hit it off. And I think it was mainly because we're sort of there. We're kind of isolated from the industry stuff in Perth. Like, we don't have that kind of persona. We don't even know how to do it. So we're just kind of genuine people. Like, I'm not even saying that in like a corny way. Like, that's all we know how to do. So, especially with the Melbourne cats, like, we really
we
really
get it. Like, we're really on the same wavelength.
Yeah. So that was good. I mean, how was your experience?
I loved it, man. I'd always heard about BIGSOUND. I initially wasn't even going to come.
It was expensive.
I was like, yo. But then I was like, nah, it will really help me kind of see, I guess, where we're at and how we can get to where we need to get to. And put us in the rooms with the people that we will eventually need to
Also, you're a valuable member of the team. Like, I feel like we really operate well when we're all together.
100%.
You know, when all the artists are together and people involved in the projects are together. Like, even down to Dylan as well, like, who's done so much of the video stuff. Like, it's really good to move as kind of a unit. So,
and I think people love that energy because regardless which of the crew you meet, it's like a unison, and like that same vibe is, you know, represented, you know, well. So yeah, I vibe with that heavy.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, Marley, we went over, for those that probably don't know, Marley was invited to showcase, so we applied. That's kind of the process. You apply to BIGSOUND, and then you either, it's pretty, you know, it's very competitive. And so we landed it, which was great. It's kind of a bit of a build up to then our first release. Sorry, I gotta say, last year was quite late. It was in April. So we had that, and then What's Good, then it was Interventions straight after that. Well, a couple months later, and then Cloud. So we had three pretty strong releases, which probably definitely helped in that selection process. But yeah, he was invited to showcase, and then he had 2 showcases, which was good. Sometimes you only get 1, sometimes you get 3, but usually one of them is a party, not an official showcase. And yeah, no, it went well. I'd done BIGSOUND 2 times before with different artists before the pandemic, so had a bit of an idea
of what to expect, how to move.
Yeah, definitely how to move. Just from like someone, you know, obviously I handle all of the like sort of music direction for the live shows and all of the kind of production specs and that. For anyone if they're watching this and you find yourself watching this before you're going, like, you just really want to keep it simple as much as possible. It's I mean, I'm sure it'll be better this year. I do feel for them having to put it together last year
Real
because
last minute too.
yeah, it was, you know, obviously like staff shortages, like getting techs, like it's a big operation, and you know, it's, you probably think it's a lot of people putting it together. It's probably not that many people. It's probably like, you know, 6 to 8 people in an office, like organizing this huge thing. So yeah, I sort of knew that even in, you know, at the best of times, it's you got 5 minutes to get on stage and get your stuff kind of sorted. And we were lucky enough to bring Jesse with us. Jesse's our
sound guy.
Our sound person, our front of house engineer. Who's an absolute legend.
Don,
Shout out,
man.
hardest working. This is another person who I really actually want to highlight here, because he has to do a job that he loves it. And he has so much fun, and you can see like how much joy it brings him. But it is not a glorious job, and it is a lot of stress and a lot of hard work. And obviously, you know, like we get gigs vary from $150 to $3,000 or $4,000, right? You know, that's kind of where Marley's at. And there's different opportunities and different things. So obviously when there's money there, we can pay him. Not enough money in my opinion, but we can budget things out to pay him. But for Big Sound, I was like, hey man, like obviously these are unpaid showcases. You know, we've got a little bit of money from Wham to go across, so I can get your flights across and put you up. But are you like keen to do it? And he's like, yeah, I'm so keen. Man. And we had a great time. And and that's the thing, we treat everyone really well and like family from the. And I hope, you know, as we go up the ranks and we hire more people and there's stuff, and that everyone knows everyone and that it's a big family. So we've kind of solidified that relationship early. But yeah, back to what I'm saying. He was there, which was a big help, because it
made the difference for a lot of showcases, and it was to our benefit. 100%.
Because, you know, not everything goes right. Like even in the first venue, there was a few issues with that first venue, and we were able to sort it out and, you know, keep Marley. Marley doesn't have to worry about it. Marley's not standing up on stage, and Marley just stands at the side of stage, can focus on what he needs to do, and he gets up and he knows everything's going to be fine. So thank you. I work really closely with Jesse, and he works across a lot of our projects, which is awesome. But that was a big thing. If you do have that opportunity, and not everyone has the opportunity to budget for their own sound guy, to even fly them over or even get that relationship. But if you are someone that's watching that does have that capability, just those people are so important. Definitely need to look after them. But yeah, overall, I think that was we got the most out of that, and it was a good part of our momentum, which was, I guess we could talk a little bit about that, like how that's
kind of sustained. Like.
Yeah, and how we've understood better how to sustain it. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, like you mentioned, we started the year reasonably later in April, and I don't think our year started until July. That was with interventions. So the majority of our work was done in the last 6 months of the year. So in regards to output, there was a lot that came out. But what you've taught me and mentioned in previous podcasts, it's really easy to lose momentum and really like die off if you don't have a vision or an idea of what's to come next. And I think we just had a lot of music ready and a lot of preparation. So I'm kind of waffling here. What were you saying?
No, not at all. It really set it up. It's like planning, basically. It's planning.
But loosely planning, because I don't think anything went according to plan, but like we were very agile with how we moved.
It's actually really what it's about is quick turnaround is what it's about. Having a song, I think Clouds is a great example. I think we wrote Clouds in April. You know, and this is in mind because like when you have a song, you have a demo, and then you got to get it mixed and mastered or whatever, or you know the production finished and stuff like that. You know, that can take a minute, but remember you have to have pretty much all of your assets done a month before the song comes out for it to have the best chance of you know, at least maybe not if you're a bigger artist, but if you're a developing artist, you want to give yourself about that time. So it's really about quick turnaround times. I think with Clouds, we wrote it at the end of April, and it was out in the start of August or whatever. So it's like you can't take, once a song is, you know, it's ready to sort of, this is going to be the one, you sort of just need to get on top of
And get
everything.
it out.
You know, I think music video, you know, song, all that stuff was
shots.
out in August, at the start of August or the end of July. Can't quite remember now, but that's kind of what we have blessed, because obviously, like, I mix Marley's music and finish it off, so you know, it's good. But that's so we have a little bit more leeway when it comes to being a bit looser with planning. But basically, like, you want to just be on point on, like, okay, you know, if you have to get an engineer to mix it or whatever, you know, this is their dates available. You really have to be like strict and stingent on those
Deadlines.
On that deadlines. And I think now, even going into this year, like, we have Marley's first single. I'm going to mix it like this week, basically, and that's all done. The production's finished and stuff. But now it's like the guys were here yesterday and they've shown me a song, and I've already started like, okay, this could be the second single. So you really just like, and it's unfortunate. There's no time for the breaks to be put on if you want to do high volume and keep momentum up.
Especially independently, because
Correct.
you can lose momentum really quickly. And I guess we're now trying to find the balance of how much to put out and what not to put out, and how much focus on which release. I guess being more strategic. Like, obviously we did Sunseeker 1.5.
The remixes.
The remixes. We realized we hadn't put out any content since October.
Yeah.
And yes, we were still putting out some of the music videos and things of that nature, but it was like, let's give more life to some of our favorite records.
Totally. And that's a good point, because even back to what you're saying about the event side of doing things that you want to do, the remixes weren't really, as much as it was like, yeah, it would be good to put something else, it wasn't necessarily even like a strategic move. Like, we didn't expect much support from industry, because it's such a dead season, even though we still landed a playlist, right? So that was a surprise to us, and we've still had a bit of, you know, shout out like FBI Radio and stuff. They've done that, I think. But it was just like, cool, we want to do this because it's like
it felt right
to do. Yeah. You know,
and I feel like it also helps. Like, I like how we've really layered Marley as an artist, like with the SoundCloud drops, with the freestyles, with the actual DSP releases, and just kind of how we've played it. It kind of helps create a narrative of, I guess, allowing people to consume it, and then, you know, we still continue feeding them, you know, intimately too. So
massively, yeah, and it just comes from us wanting to. It just feels good to put stuff out, you know, and it's great for the artist as well to have that feedback. You know, if you're doing a couple of songs a year, and look, at the end of the day, it's whatever you know. We're just saying what we've been doing and how it's affected us and what we found success in. But you know, if you can only put 2 songs out a year and that's what you want to do and you're happy with that, then it doesn't matter. But for us, like, the route that we've had is just that kind of, people see that consistency as something that's, I don't know, at least in hip hop, maybe that's good, you know. And it's been it's been a lot of work, and we've learnt a lot of things, but
I feel it allows us to create more moments. Because I think that's kind of what led to a lot of like our later successes in the year. The support we're getting from the Jays, the Listen Out, FBI Radio Artist of the Week. If we didn't put out, these were all for different releases that they were intrigued by. So some people might have liked this over the other, and, you know, having, I guess, multiple touch points for you to refer to, I guess, allows you to kind of grow your audience at the same time.
Massively. No, and it's been good, and you know, it's also like, now if you've got you know, if you're a manager or a label that's got a multiple artists, it's also about learning what artist needs what, in a sense. Like Marley's obviously at a different position than Otia and Cruz are at, but we still put, you know, a record out with Cruz, and this was kind of led by Ches. He really took the lead on this, but we sort of just, you know, we can't. You can't expect support from anybody, but it's unlikely that Cruz will receive the same support from the industry that Marley will, because it's not, you know, the momentum trajectory he's on. So with Cruz, it was like we sort of attacked it in a different way of like, okay, what are the things that we kind of know we can get support from? And a lot of it was like local radio, and like, you know, his record Dogs in the Office was feature record on RTR, and you know, those things then fed other things. You know, I mean, he still landed like, you know, when the single came out, he still landed like New Music Friday and all these sort of things. And that's kind of what you want to focus on. You don't want to just expect, you know, Spotify or the J's to support. It's like, okay, what things can we do?
Can we land?
And then basically the way it works, well, the way I think it works is that it just kind of almost snowballs in a way. So that's the main thing. But yeah, we've learnt a lot from working with artists at different points.
At different points.
And that's really important that you know how to do that when you're working with multiple artists. But yeah, what else? I guess, yeah, just a lot of songs this year.
A lot of songs, man.
Yeah, I worked on a lot of songs, a lot of releases, and, you know, the more you do it, the more you learn. We'll probably talk about have another one of these in a few more months, and there's things that, you know, more things to learn.
What would you like to see out of us and Ches when it comes to this year in regards to development? Because I think that's more our focus.
Yeah.
For I guess what separates ALLBREED from, I guess, other independent labels or managements. We really do have a focus on developing the artists and not cookie cuttering it either. Like, what's good for Marley is not good for OTA and it's not good for Cruise and so forth. So it's like, what would you like to see come out from, I guess, from our perspective, and how can we then better assist the roster?
Like what like we should get out of it in terms of, or what out of you guys personally, or
more so collectively.
Collectively,
like, not necessarily like measurable goals.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess just more. Just I guess like almost more structure. Obviously things are always going to move around, and things will, you know, you have to have that kind of flexibility. But I feel like this year will be, and it's already started to happen last year, is like kind of getting into a rhythm of how we do things in terms of like, I think I'm talking specifically about releases. Like we know that if we do these things, and that may depend on the artist, but it's like if we know we do these kind of base things or this base servicing, that you know, it pushes it in the right direction, if that makes sense. I think having that sort of structure, and I just want to, as ALLBREED as a whole, I just want to start to, going back to the sustainability thing, is start to implement those things, like start to implement little things that are a step towards it. Like, you know, by no means do I think all of us are going to have to quit doing day job stuff.
Not anytime soon.
No, you know, or like, you know, I'm not going to have to stop mixing songs or, you know, working in the office a few days a week. But, like, just little things, you know, I've spoken to Ches about, you know, like, obviously there's some gigs that come through from some of the artists that can be a few K. It's like, if ALLBREED just takes the, you know, the 20% commission from that, and it takes and you know, it sits in an account, and then maybe like we can start paying, you know, the artist gets their performance fee, and, you know, DJ whatever is with the band, whatever, and then like, you know, Ches and you and I can start paying it stuff. It could be like $50 a week.
But it's good to I definitely.
But it's not about. It's just about
getting that side,
that thing
already
rolling,
moving.
and that mindset rolling, and that thing in motion. Like, you know, not just expecting it to all be like, oh, at once. Because I think we've had money from different things roll in this year, but it's kind of just been like, okay, we have it, and then there's like an $800 music video. And that stuff has to happen. Obviously, like, you can't not spend money on stuff, and there's stuff you need to pay people for. But just if there's more structure, at least even with finances, even if it's just a tiny bit, I just think that is like, I want it to feel like, to feel like, oh, this is, you know, probably the same thing with Honeycut in a way. Oh, sorry, what's the overarching company?
185.
Sorry. You know, like, that, you guys probably have a little bit of that as well, or a lot of that, I actually don't know. But that's kind of what I want out of ALLBREED this year, is, you know, just a step further and just keep taking steps, basically. What about you?
Man, I haven't thought that far ahead.
Okay.
I'm struggling to figure out what I want out of this
That's
year.
okay.
But I feel like double downing on what we've been doing, not only with the music but with the events, is the right way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I have the capacity to take on more. I just don't know where I'm going to put that energy towards.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the dilemma I'm having, which is a good one to have.
That's a good dilemma. I feel like I feel almost the same. I mean, because I feel like you and I wear, I mean, all of us really, we wear a lot of different hats. So it's kind of hard to define what needs to happen in a way. But yeah, I just think, I think last year is definitely, every year seems to feel like we're getting closer. To doing stuff, you know, but
I think the foundation's really solid. After last year, definitely. Like the cement's dried, you know, and we know what the building structure kind of looks like. It's just now brick by brick. So
massively. I think actually a good example really is that we made Hours Before Sunrise in 2020. That came out September 2020, and that was like a grant-funded project that was through 20. Like we got at the start of 2020 or middle of 2020, and 2021. Sorry, my God, we're in 3.
We're in 20.
Sorry, 2021. And we got the music there. That was a bit of a struggle. Marley was 19 or whatever, super young. And he definitely has grown in the last 2 years on his consistency of work. But anyway, we got the songs and we got that. But at the end of that, when we released it, I just thought, damn, we like really didn't have a rollout sorted. I was pretty disappointed about that. It kind of just, and it still did good things, and I'm still so proud of that music, obviously. But I felt like last year when the songs came out and the things were roll out, even with the Cruz Patterson release, it's like I feel like there's not much more we could have done there. Like obviously little things, tweaks, but it's not like there was no plan or anything like that. So I think that's really positive from us, and that's been a collective effort from you and Shez and all of the artists involved. So yeah, thank you guys so much for kind of joining the vision and just really holding it down, and everyone kind of working as hard as they can. It's awesome.
I think we're good on that.
That's
one.
good.
Then.
Gonna run out of time
Hopefully
on the SD card.
Yeah.
Nah, that's good. Anyway, that's another episode.
Soon. Yeah, and I think we'll probably have more time to fit more of these in this year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
no, we're gonna definitely amp it up, and more guests, more artists will be rolling through with touring and stuff, which will be really exciting. Love bringing you the guest stuff. As always, come and let us know if you want any specific topics or any guests that you'd really love on.
And you can go back on Spotify and re-listen to some old ones too. So yeah, baby.
Let's get it. 2023.
In the workings, we out.